Hey friend, Femke here again. I'm guessing that you clicked on this video because you're wondering how to get started in product design. Now, there are so many options today for how to get started, and it can be really overwhelming to know which option is the best for you or where and how to even get started. I'm going to talk about 3 different options that I recommend in this video today. Before we get started, some quick and exciting news. I recently launched a brand new Instagram account dedicated to all things product design and research. I'm planning to do weekly Q&As over there, so head on over and give it a follow if you're interested. Okay, so how to get started in product design. I think there's 3 kind of key common paths that I've seen. The first is going to design school and getting a formal education, a degree in design. The second is self-taught and online learning. And the third is boot camps. I'm going to jump into what each of these are and some of the pros and cons from my own opinion and experience. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have a little bit more of an understanding of each of these different options and maybe feel a little bit more confident about which is the right option for you. So the first, design schools. There are a lot of universities or tertiary accredited education programs that you can go and do if you're interested in studying and learning design. Now, this is a very personal choice. It's obviously very structured, very guided learning. You end up with a degree at the end. It can take multiple years, and some things to think about are student loans or how you actually might pay for this program, but ultimately it is the most accredited way to learn design. This option might be more appealing if you are still in high school, or maybe you're about to graduate and you're kind of at that stage in your life where you can commit to a multiple year long study. When searching, you'll probably see a lot of options for graphic design. Now, this is more the sort of foundational design discipline and not as tailored to digital or product design, but it is a great option to consider if you want to sort of get a foundation in design. I actually did a graduate diploma all in graphic and visual communication design, and you can watch all about my journey over in this video. Now, I'm not going to recommend specific design schools. I studied in New Zealand, so, based on your country, you might have more accredited schools than others. So just do the local research and maybe talk to people that have gone through these programs to kind of get their advice. Honestly, I have never been asked by an employer to show proof of my tertiary education or been asked if I have any formal training in design, especially in the tech sector. It seems that employers are more interested in your experience, your level of craft, the quality of your work, rather than how you actually learned design. So just keep that in mind. Some pros of going to university. Well, it's very structured, it's very guided. You have these courses and projects and classes that you need to take. There's a lot of networking opportunities, and you can often try a range of different subjects, so it's not super specific. You get to collaborate with classmates and, take the course and degree together, and then of course, I guess the biggest pro is you end up with a degree and like a formally accredited certificate at the end. Some cons of going to university, well, it's usually the most expensive and time-consuming option. So usually it requires a full-time commitment for multiple years and can cost up to tens of thousands of dollars. Lastly, it doesn't always suit everybody's learning style or schedule, so that's something that you want to keep in mind as well. The next option is self-taught. Now, if you're someone who likes to work independently, you're very self-motivated, and you want a flexible way to learn design, then this option might be for you. Being a self-taught designer means it's up to you how you want to learn design. There are so many resources that you can use to learn design. Maybe you read some books, you take some online courses, you subscribe to newsletters, you join communities. There's an abundance of resources online that you can use to kind of structure your own learning syllabus that flexes to your preferred learning style. Being self-taught requires a lot of self-initiated guidance and practice of your design craft. Now, unlike going to school or a boot camp, you don't have briefs or like given projects to you by a teacher. So it's kind of up to you to create your own projects. Maybe you do some side projects, or you do some freelancing on the side for friends and family, a personal project. It's really up to you to sort of give yourself a brief and practice your craft so that at the end you have some portfolio-worthy pieces of work. It's really up to you to be resourceful as you're learning and teaching yourself design and make the most of things available to you. Some pros of self-taught learning are it's very flexible. You can learn at your own pace and choose what you want to learn as you go. You can create your own opportunities, and you can make it as practical or as theoretical as you like. It's also up to you what you want to learn, whether you want to go wide or whether you want to go deep. And you can get really specific about the types of like skills that you want to learn or the craft that you want to go deep into. Some cons, well, there's not really any structure. So I think if you want to go down this route, then ideally you're a very structured and self-motivated person and you have some discipline as to how you're going to learn and teach yourself. Lastly, there are a lot of options and it can be really hard to know where to start. And the place that I recommend starting is with an online course. And speaking of online courses, one online course platform that I really want to recommend to you is Tuts Plus by Envato. Now this is a sponsored section in this video, but hear me out because I actually started learning design, being self-taught before I went and did my design diploma by using Tuts Plus. Back in 2013, I was really curious and interested about design and wanted to learn a little bit on my own first before committing to investing in a degree. And I did that by actually signing up to Tuts Plus and taking a lot of their online web design and graphic design courses. It was a really great way for me to learn different design tools and get my feet wet in design. I remember back then taking a few courses in how to learn Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop because that was the design tool of choice back in the day. But anyway, they have a lot of different courses depending on what you want to learn. I recommend checking out their UX and UI design section that has a lot of courses on these topics. Here you can learn how to use Figma, how to wireframe, how to design specific apps, rules of mobile design, and so much more. There are so many good courses on here, way more than back in 2013 when I was learning, that I think this is a great place to start. Now, Tuts Plus is a subscription-based learning platform, but if you use the link in my description, you will get 70% off your first month, meaning you'll only pay $9.99. And compared to the cost of boot camps and design schools, this is, in my opinion, the most affordable way to start your career in design. And if you sign up, let me know in the comments below what course you end up taking. Lastly, the final option is bootcamps. Now, these are relatively recent. I've only seen bootcamps really spring up and become wildly popular in the last 5 years or so. Now, these are a good option if you want guided, structured learning, but maybe you don't want to invest 3+ years and tens of thousands of dollars into a degree. I've seen a lot of people who are maybe transitioning careers or a little bit later on in their sort of career journey take bootcamps as opposed to committing to a full-time degree. They're often pretty flexible. From what I know, you can take them either full-time or part-time, and they run sort of multiple cohorts throughout the year, so you can sort of jump in whenever suits you. Typically, they're quite practical, more of like a polytechnic. Often throughout these boot camps, you work on one project for the whole 12-week course. That means that when you graduate, you end up with a portfolio-ready piece of work that you can use to start applying. Now, I've also heard that a lot of these boot camps have really good relationships with local employers, which means that the chance of getting a job at the end seems to be quite good. Now, remember, this is not a degree equivalent, so you're not going to end up with a design degree at the end, but you do receive some sort of certification that is equally relevant to have on your resume. So some pros of boot camps. Well, they're a lot cheaper, they're faster, they're more flexible for folks who maybe are a little bit further along in their careers or want to switch. You can get it done in just 12 weeks. The networking opportunities and connections with both employers, students, and faculty seems to be pretty strong at these programs as they're a lot smaller class sizes. Of course, not to underestimate that you end up with a very relevant portfolio piece at the end. I also think it's great that these boot camps go really deep into a design discipline like UX design, as opposed to a degree which is often more quite wide and broad where you cover a range of different design disciplines. The benefit of a boot camp is you get to go really, really deep. Some cons of boot camps are that, well, considering they're still relatively recent, it's worth double checking the credibility of the one you want to go to. I recommend trying to find a alumni student who's been before, or looking online to find some reviews and recommendations. It's worth doing your research here. I know there are a lot of options. I have not done a bootcamp myself, so I don't have recommendations on what a good bootcamp versus a not so good bootcamp is. Just do your homework. I've also seen bootcamps becoming a little bit saturated, and when I see people applying for jobs with a bootcamp background, they're product design process is often a little bit cookie cutter. So just consider that even though you're taking the course and there is a syllabus and a structure to follow, I always encourage bootcamp students to still kind of do their own sort of homework and research on the side and make your own decisions about what you want in your design process. All right, friend, and those are the 3 main options in how to get started in design. Ultimately, this is a very personal decision, and you should choose the option that suits you best based on your learning style, what you can afford, and how you want to learn. If you do end up taking a Tuts Plus course, then please let me know in the description below which one you take. That's all for now. See you in another video. Good luck and bye!